While most of the material from this volume is taken directly from the manga, this next episode was entirely an invention of the anime's writing staff, and they came up with something kinda cool. Hot springs in the desert. When I first watched this, I was skeptical. It's a desert planet, why would they have an abundance of hot water? Really, though, it makes sense, as hot springs are stores of geothermally heated groundwater under pressure, and people on Gunsmoke have to dig deep wells to strike veins since there's no water on the surface. It makes sense. Anyway, it's a particularly active day for the geysers, which stops the caravan our merry band is traveling with still for a while. If you recall Wolfwood's crappy money situation from the previous episode, you may be wondering, Kitty! How can he afford the fare on a huge caravan? Well, he can't. He's currently gambling his pittances on a game of chess with a wily cowboy, and he's not doing too well.
Should I butt this guy in the head and make a break for it? Ugh! No, I can't do that. What am I thinking? I'm a man of God, for God's sake.
Funny that he has to remind himself of that, isn't it? Another good hint that it's not his primary profession. Millie takes a little time out of berating the bartender for not carrying pudding to solve the game for him. Smart girl.
Hey, what are you doing? Don't you realize that the rest of my fare is riding on the outcome of this game? You trying to get me thrown out? Oh, I give up. What? What's the matter? Oh, I'll be damned.
Wolfwood uses his healthy earnings from the game to buy her an unhealthy amount of pudding, and asks if she learned chess from playing with her family. He starts to suggest that he's jealous, and we wonder what kind of family he might have had, when Millie tells him she's one of 10 brothers and sisters. Not sure if he's jealous of that.
Uh-huh. You're the youngest, aren't you?
Yeah. Wow, how did you know that?
Sometimes the answers just crash down from heaven.
Just then, the dancing girl who can't dance, that we saw earlier, rams into the pair and begs them to hide her from her pursuers. Millie happily hides the tiny girl behind her wall of a coat, but Wolfwood, surprisingly, tells the men where she is anyway. Why would he do this? Well, contrary to initial impressions, Wolfwood is not a heroic fellow, and he doesn't stick up for the underdog. Wolfwood is very interested in justice, unlike Vash, who is interested in mercy. He doesn't think of the bully and the underdog, he thinks of the right and the wrong. If he has to take sides, as we'll see in a minute, he only plays by numbers, and chooses the path that harms the least amount of people, as long as he isn't included among them. This is one small reason he hates adults and dotes on children, who are pure, honest, and unblemished, but there are bigger reasons for that coming up later. That tangent aside, the reason he outs the young girl here is that he assumes she's being chased because she probably did something wrong, as he does at least ask the men what she's guilty of before he'll let them take her. But Wolfwood isn't the one these guys have to worry about.
Gonna do with you.
Ah!
Huh?
Oh,
What's the matter with you?
that happened to be my can of pudding, and you wasted it.
Hoo-wee!
You should never get between people and their pudding.
But you are the one who dropped them, you know.
The girl thanks Millie and starts to run off again, but sees more men closing in from the other direction. Thankfully, Millie has an idea, and Wolfwood is not going to like it.
Isn't it lovely out today, honey?
Ugh.
Millie is absolutely enjoying this, and I think it's safe to say at this point she adores Wolfwood. Wolfwood has flirted with her in the past, and it's obvious he finds her attractive, but for him, that's probably the case with a lot of girls. I think at this point, he's just a little skeeved out by how much trouble she's causing him. He'll come around.
Hey.
Secondhand smoke is bad for the baby, darling.
Oh, yeah, gee, sorry about that, honey.
Meanwhile, Meryl is still waiting for Millie to finish grocery shopping when an entire posse intrudes into Vash's tent to ask him a favor. And his reaction is pretty scary. He has his I mean business glasses on throughout this entire episode, and we know we're not going to see funny Vash when he's got his shades on. Anyway, the happy couple drop the dancing girl off outside of town, and Wolf demands to know what that was all about.
Actually, I'm...
Who did that?
Get away from more!
What the?
Julia, stop shooting!
Okay, I don't exactly have a good reason for it, but I hate this character. He's annoying, he's whiny, and he's played by the worst non-extra actor in the show. Ugh. Whatever, his name is Julius, and we find out that he and Moore are childhood friends turned lovebirds. At this point, Julius's explanation to Millie and Wolfwood overlaps with a proposition offered to Vash by the caravan leader. Meryl is left grumpy and in the dark as usual. The caravan is making its regular trip to the commerce city Fondrique, where Julius was born. His real childhood home, however, is the constantly moving caravan, as his father, the mayor of Fondrique, sold him to the caravan leader when he was little as a bargaining chip for a business relationship with the massive convoy. Julius came to know the caravan leader as his father instead, and was branded with a mark to function as the key to the city, his safety being the collateral that ensured their relationship. Over time, he fell in love with Moore and decided to run away with her when he discovered she was part of the cargo the caravan was carrying.
But their cargo wasn't always in boxes.
Now, come here.
We bought you human rights. We own you. You have no choice.
This is the first overt mention of the slave trade, which was a very important but often overlooked element of the series. It's only ever glanced over in the anime because of its gruesome nature, but basically, it's not men, but women and children who are left defenseless that are kidnapped and sold into slavery. The buyers can use them however they want, but since it's an underground business, they're usually used for sex until they're broken and then mined for organs, which bring a great price because no one's a donor in this dire environment, and then they're disposed of. If they are kept alive, it's out of sight of the public, and again, just for sex and entertainment. That's probably why Moore was being taught how to dance, too. The caravan leader explains this to Vash, and then offers him a job that Vash decides he will take only for 20 million.
20 million? That is
Then
ludicrous!
find someone else to help you.
All right, it's a deal then.
Millie praises the pair for their brave decision, but Wolfwood looks at it a little differently.
If you leave, they lose their contract with the city. The caravan goes under, and everybody dies.
His reasoning is pretty sound, to wonder if the freedom of 2 people is worth the deaths of dozens. But Julius tells him it was their fault for dealing in such a vile trade to begin with, and he hopes his escape destroys the whole city of Fondrique along with the caravan. Wolfwood rightfully smacks the little douche.
I've heard enough! People are gonna die because of you! Now you listen to me. It's all so easy for you to say because you're running away from it. Say that after you watch them die right in front of you. Would you be able to make your escape over the bodies of the dead?
We've made up our minds to do this, and it's none of your business!
Wolfwood admits that Julius is right, but decides to at least put an end to his bad acting.
The fewer sacrificed, the better. Am I right?
This is a scary few seconds, and if you were watching the original broadcast in Japan, that would have been where the commercial went, but Wolfwood's not quite that cold. He surprises them by turning the gun on himself and asking the two to back up their words by literally treading over the dead to gain their freedom. They go past him, he fires. Millie tells them to reconsider, but Julius decides to be obstinate and call Wolfwood's bluff. I mean, he's not really gonna... Jeez! Julius thanks Wolf for letting them go, and Wolfwood, disgusted, tells them that what they're doing is wrong, but they've proven that they're gonna do it anyway, so they should just go. Millie, however, goes after them, because they're good people who need help, and that's all there is to it for her.
She does everything I can't, like it's no big deal at all. It's really irritating.
So Wolfwood does have a heart, he's just learned to ignore it for survival. And this is where his affection for Millie starts to blossom a little, but more on that later. Millie protects the pair from the scalding hot springs as Vash and the caravan's leader's posse close in on them. Meryl tags along and asks Vash what the heck is going on.
All right then, you talk to me.
He wanted a kill.
A kill?
That's right.
And you accepted?
Yes.
Very well, if that's the case, I have no choice but to execute risk prevention procedure.
Meryl's tight assery is starting to break down more and more here, as her instincts and her duty to Bernardelli tell her she's supposed to detain or dispose of Vash in this situation, but she decides to trust him even though she has no real reason to. She knows he really is a good person, and it's starting to soften her up a little bit. Besides, we all know he probably could have dodged it even if she put that thing in his eye socket. After a close call with a boiling geyser, Julius breaks down and admits that Wolfwood was right, and he still loves his father too much to do this to him, even if he's not his real dad, and even if he's been dealing in slaves. The posse catch and subdue them, and Julius agrees to go back. But just then, salvation comes from on high.
Mr. Priest!
Priest, I'm gonna pummel you!
Lord, what the hell hell am I doing here?
Wolfwood's decision here is in direct opposition to everything he believes, and he knows that. The only reason he can offer for this is that a little bit of Vash got into his system. I would say that a little of Millie got into his system too, but that won't happen until episode 23.
Heyo!
He promises to fight off the thugs and show no mercy, but stops dead in his tracks when he sees who's leading the charge.
Have you any idea what you're doing?
Yep, and God is my witness.
Julius leaps into the path of the bullet, but his sacrifice is pointless as Vash immediately fires again to take down more anyway, and they collapse over a deadly erupting geyser. The posse is shocked, telling Vash that Julius, their key to the city, wasn't supposed to die, and Vash snaps back that he was told to stop them. Their boss said nothing about their safety. Unless they want to be next, they should leave the money and beat it. Millie, broken-hearted, punches Vash in the face and runs to Meryl in tears. Vash reaches for his glasses, but Wolfwood stomps them to splinters and tells Vash he should finish what he started in May City right here and now, until he inspects Vash's gun.
That was a realistic performance. Pretty tough to kill when you're shooting with rubber bullets.
Hey, don't fire those so close. That stings.
Julius and Moore are just fine, having actually been stunned at the edge of the dune and rolling down to safety on the other side before the geyser erupted. Now, this is a little detail, but everyone notices it, I guess because it's so funny. I love how Millie never apologizes to Vash for hitting him. In fact, when she sort of mistakenly hits someone in episode 14, she doesn't apologize for that either. She's a very pure, childlike character, always does and says exactly what she means, and never wastes time with regret. Again, a lot like Vash, except he has a lot more baggage, he's a lot more worldly wise, so he remains eternally penitent for any little wrong thing he does. Meryl tells the lovebirds that Vash arranged this ruse for them with the caravan leader, the only other person that will know they're alive and well, and that Vash will take the blame for their deaths, leaving them free to go. They're given the car and the 20 million, but tell Vash it wouldn't be right to take it, and that they'll take care of themselves from now on. Wolfwood notes that Vash's bad reputation will simply spread because of this act, and wonders if you can really call that karma. Vash says he doesn't think so, it was just the right thing to do.
She's a good girl, isn't she? She's really good.
Yes, she is.
And you, my friend, are just like her.
The caravan moves on to Fondrique City, but Wolfwood parts ways with the group, saying that Vash just reminds him of all the things he hates about himself when he pulls stunts like this, and besides, he has other business he should tend to. Millie is sad, but Meryl and Vash seem hopeful that they'll run into him again. Given his renewed coldness in this episode, I'm tempted to think he talked to Chapel back in May City. But maybe not. Maybe he only talks to him when he goes back to check in with Knives. Or maybe he doesn't see him at all till the events of episode 23. We'll never know. The one thing we do know is that Wolfwood is leaving now to check in with Knives, and he will be given his mission at that point, which carries on to his actions for the rest of the show. Anyway, this episode was created to raise a lot of moral questions, and basically arrive at the conclusion that there is a way out of sacrifice, which leads Wolfwood to greatly respect Vash as, like Millie, he does the right thing no matter the cost and never seems to have to pay a price. Again, that there's a road apart from sacrifice. Now, this isn't true. The sacrifice is just harder to notice. Yes, once again, nobody died because Vash is incredibly crafty and superhumanly skilled, but the sacrifice was, as usual, Vash himself. He had to take the blame for the deaths of Julius and Moore, and he took the unmerited blemish to his reputation for doing it. It's not like we needed any more of it, but we now have even more reason as to why Vash is so feared and loathed when he's really such a golden-hearted puppy dog. Wolfwood's a smart guy. He knows the necessity of sacrifice, and the only reason Vash can save everyone, no matter the dilemma, is because he's superhuman. But he's not the only superhuman out there, so he can't keep up his optimistic way of life for long. There's been more than enough padding, and it's finally time for Vash to meet his match, a villain of nightmarish proportions named Legato Bluesummers. Much like episode 9, where we first met Wolfwood and unknowingly absorbed a whole lot of important information we had no idea was important, this is the episode where everything happens and nothing is explained. At all. We open in a basement cluttered with shotgun shells, battered dummies, throwing knives, massive weights, and other ominous paraphernalia. A massive, muscled, bald guy is doing crunches or something down here when a figure appears in his basement. Baldy asks when he got here, and the shadow responds that he's been watching him the entire time.
You are one creepy guy.
Oh, honey, you have no idea. He's told that the day has finally come and given the name of his target.